Guys, I understand you have a few questions you'd like to ask me, so I'm going to answer them as best I can, and then we'll see what kind of conversation you have. All right, who would like to start? Yes, ma'am.
What is your job?
What is my job now? I'm an assistant principal. Some of you might like to know what I do outside of when I'm not in school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
That's what you do.
Oh, okay. Well, my job sometimes, and I've been doing this for a long, long time, is I will paint for people who need something painted, whether it be houses, the outside, or the inside.
How do you use area and perimeter in your job?
Oh, that is a very good question.
Yeah.
So depending on the job of whether I paint the outside or the inside, depends on how much paint I'll need and how much I need to charge the person who needs me to paint, all right? So area and perimeter, I'm here to teach you how I use that. This is length times, okay, good. So perimeter is what? Length plus width?
All the length.
Okay. Basically, what I have to do is figure out how much paint will cover this house, the outside. So it's actually not too hard. What I would do, let's say this side of the house over here doesn't have any windows, right? So I'd figure out the length, or excuse me, the width, which is here, and then the length from the ground all the way up to the roof. So let's say it was 15 times, say, 20, we'll say 25. 375 square feet. That's how many a side is, right? Now, if 1 gallon of paint, hold on, if 1 gallon of paint will cover, we'll say, 500 square feet, because that's about how much it would, that's how much paint a gallon will cover. How many gallons would I need to paint that one side? Yes, your hand was up first. 1 gallon. So 1 gallon would cover that side, right? Now, I would have a little extra paint left too, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many sides to a house?
4.
4. So 4 times how many gallons am I going to need?
4.
No. 1 gallon.
4.
Raise your hand so I can call on you. Don't blurt out. Yes, sir. No, 1 gallon per side. Yes.
4 gallons.
There's 4 sides to the house.
4 gallons.
Okay, 4 gallons. That's how you can calculate how much paint you would need, say, for an outside of the house. Inside might be a little different, okay? Because let's say we're figuring out a wall. Let's say this wall, and nothing was on this wall, okay? I would figure out the same way, length times width, and we'd figure out how much space is here. Okay, now you can think of it like this. For every square foot, this is 12 inches, 12 inches, just like that. So that's 12 inches, 12 inches. That's 1 square foot. So if we looked at that wall, you could almost, see that picture that says science up there?
Yeah.
That's probably almost a 12 by 12 inch square. So that would be 1 square foot. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Now, hold on. Now, what you would figure out is how many of those squares would fit on that entire wall. You would be able to figure that out, because all you'd have to do is measure the length times the width, multiply it, and it would tell you how many of those would be on there. But paint is not free, it's expensive. Guys, you could spend probably $80 to even $100 worth for 1 gallon of paint.
Whoa.
So now, and I will tell you, just so you know, you can do the math later, I've painted houses where I've painted probably 20 gallons of paint on it before.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for paint. That's not even including the money they'd have to pay me to paint it.
What tools do you use to find the side lines?
Did you guys ever see, you know what a tape measure is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's that thing you pull out and it looks like a ruler, you just pull it out?
Yeah.
Okay, well, sometimes you don't always have that, right?
No, you
So, sometimes you gotta improvise. So what you can do, and I've had to do this before, is sometimes I'll find a piece of string or rope, and I'll measure that. and that might be my measuring stick. You might even use a ruler,
Or a stick.
whatever you need. But your point is if you have a measuring tape, you would have someone hold one end, and then they would pull it, and you'd measure the distance. Yes, ma'am.
How do you know what unit to use?
Well, since most of the time here in this country, we use mostly feet,
Yeah.
the standardized system, right? Not the metric system.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you don't have to know the other measuring system. But for the most part, when I'm using measurement in units, I would use most of the time just regular feet or inches, or if I'm figuring out the area, the length, I'm using feet. Now, here's why you want to be smart when you figure out how much materials to use. If you buy too much and you can't bring it back, is that good or bad?
Bad.
Right. Why? What? Who can tell me why it's bad? You.
It's bad because you just wasted some of your money.
Or someone else's money.
Or
Right.
someone else's money.
If you don't have enough materials, is that good or bad?
That's bad.
Yes. Why? Tell me why.
It's bad because like you don't have enough and then you have to go back to the store and buy it again.
Right. And who has to buy it?
You.
Maybe me, the person working, or the person who is paying to have it done.
Yeah,
Either
it's
way,
more
guys,
money.
too much or too less is not good, okay? So, you gotta try to figure out the best amount or that you need.